Let's start with a little bit about my virtual reality history and why does VR interest and excite me so much, and why do I have such a passion for it? I suppose we really need to start by looking at the things that influenced me in my youth. I remember first time round the movie Tron, and what a revolution and breakthrough that was, and this idea of being able to exist within a computerized environment and the fact that there was a whole world within it certainly started to stimulate my imagination at a young age. And of course this was followed 10 years later by Lawnmower Man, which gave us a darker view on where Tron had started, and really gave us to think about some of the possibilities of what happens when it all goes wrong. And then of course we had Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf is a comedy show that I grew up with, and the episodes that included virtual reality was done in such a modern and forward-thinking way that I think it really did set some grounds on some of the expectations that people would have when virtual reality eventually did make it into the consumer market. And of course, probably the favourite episode there has got to be Back to Reality. Good old Dwayne Dibley. Now, there are lots of directions in which VR could obviously go within, and I really just want to focus on three of what I think are the good directions that VR will take. And I think it's probably really important for me to say here that, you know, if you ask me in a year's time to look back at this presentation and do I still hold true with all the points and everything that I've made, then I'd probably hopefully be able to say that with some of them, yes. I still feel that, you know, we're heading in the right direction, and there is some drive and things actually happening from within the developer and manufacturer markets. But I think it's also fair to say that, you know, if I look at other technologies that have been introduced into my life over the years, for example, smartphones, did I ever think that they'd be where they are now? I think when I first started using them, no, I was looking at it as an extension of a personal digital assistant, and now it's actually become a tool which really does aid me in everyday life. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, 12 months on in virtual reality, I'm going to find that, you know, my ideas that I'm having now and the directions that VR will take in a short space of time will probably make me readdress a lot of the things that I'm really thinking about now. And that's a positive. That really is something that I think that as a consumer is really one of the great things about it. It isn't a case of what I'm seeing now is what I'm going to be experiencing in 5 years' time, or 12 months' time, or a few months' time. We're already seeing advances within gaming, quite dramatically, and I'm really quite surprised at some of the things that are being released, and everything isn't really quite joined up yet. I can see, for example, things such as the Presence rendering engine, which has completely blown me away. I can see that, you know, when that starts to get incorporated into game engines, then what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with a virtual reality experience within gaming that is very difficult to separate from the real world. That's a really interesting prospect, and certainly something that I want to experience in the future. So gaming at the moment, the fantastic thing that's happened, I think, as far as the gaming side is concerned, is the rise of so many new gaming development companies, and some of the quality that's coming out from them is absolutely astounding. The Node crew over at Hover Junkers, I really appreciate what they've done for VR by releasing such an imaginative title and really given some thought to how to actually best utilize the existing technology of virtual reality in a gaming environment and make it look good and be playable all at the same time. There are so many games that I can mention. Look at the reviews that we've made on our website for more about that. But really, gaming is what most people think about when you mention VR to them. But this really isn't the end of what VR will do for us as humanity within the civilizations that we have on this planet. Education is something that's quite important to me. It is my day job. I'm a training consultant for a company that produces software for the architectural, engineering and construction industry, and I'm trying to find ways in which I can manage to incorporate virtual reality into the things that I do, into the instructional videos that I produce, for example. And I'm finding it remarkably simple to do certain things. Conceptual explanations, the ability to be able to step away from two-dimensional PowerPoint and to suddenly work freely within something like Tilt Brush, to be able to draw what I see inside my head without being limited by two-dimensional tools, is really beginning to sort of take shape and take some form, and it's something that I'm going to continue to work with and endeavour to advance. But I don't see the limitations within education of just being the sorts of things that I do. I certainly see that there's a huge benefit, for example, for the TED lectures that take place. Many of you may have sort of watched them on YouTube and so on, but the experience of actually being at a TED lecture is something quite different to watching the video, and how great it's going to be when we're going to be able to be within virtual reality, within these environments, experiencing it directly and live. And I really don't think that's very far off at all. We're also seeing virtual reality being used within medical education already as well. And there are probably hundreds of other applications which I may not even be aware of at this point in time. But I really do see that education is going to be one of the main things that's really going to be influenced very heavily by virtual reality over the coming years. Now, extending on from sort of what I've said about what I do in my normal daily job, architecture, and the impact that virtual reality is going to have on the construction industry is going to be mammoth. I don't quite think the construction industry is fully prepared and fully understands how fantastic a tool that this is. But I can tell you from some of the things that I've looked at with regards to Iris VR, being able to take things like SketchUp and Autodesk Revit and to be able to turn those into 3D worlds and environments, and for the individual then to be able to explore these and to experience the built environment before it's built. One of the most costly parts of any construction project is the changes that need to be made. And generally, a lot of these, or traditionally rather, I should say, a lot of these are sort of past the halfway point of the actual construction process, and this makes them really expensive then to make these sorts of corrections. And this could be things, for example, such as space or environmental considerations, or just the very nature of something being constructed and encountering those difficulties. But the application of virtual reality, especially if we start thinking about the whole business information management side of construction as well, really can sort of move and shift the cost from the end of the project to the beginning of the project. And as most people will tell you, regardless of what industry that you work in, if you can make changes in the earliest stages of project delivery, they're generally cheaper. And this is going to mean that what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with much, much better buildings and environments for us to be able to live and work within. And that's going to be because of the applications of virtual reality within the early stages of project design for these sorts of buildings. And it's also going to enable us to be able to go in directions that I don't think that we're even quite aware of what are possible at the moment. There are some amazing buildings on the planet. There really, really are. But I don't believe at the moment that really what we're doing as far as building is concerned is we're actually building as if it's a consumer market. And I really do think that that's something that virtual reality can do. We can eliminate so many of the things that niggle us about housing, about places where we work, by being able to experience them before we actually construct them. And that is going to be a massive change, and that's something that's really going to affect all of our lives as we sort of go forward. Now, I've only touched on 3 points here. I'm not going to go on and on about the thousands of other possibilities. And I know that anybody watching this video has probably got something where they think, oh, why didn't you mention that? Well, I'm trying to keep this relatively brief, but I really want it to be informative, and I want to talk to you about sort of the passions that I have for virtual reality. Now, the here and now, we're in a very interesting time. You could, I suppose, be sort of justified in thinking that virtual reality is still really in a alpha stage. I mean, after all, we've got multiple devices that are available to us, and they're all using different technologies with regards to things such as tracking. There are some similarities in the way that the actual environments are being delivered to us, but I think what we're going to find is we're going to find that that there's going to be some commonality as this advances. But the here and now is does it really matter which device that you actually have? I'm a HTC Vive person. I did my research, and for me and for what I wanted to do and for what I wanted to experience within virtual reality, there was no other alternative. Vive certainly ticked all the boxes that I wanted to be ticked and added me so much more. And I really did see it as the platform that was going to be able to engage me, not only within gaming, but also within sort of training, education, and obviously, the other aspects of things that go on within my life. We're a bit limited on sort of commercial controllers at the moment. The HTC Vive controllers, they're incredibly comfortable to use. They've tried really, really hard, I think, to sort of get the hand size and distancing on everything just right. But there are things such as, gloves that are going to be coming out. In fact, I've recently been looking at entire bodysuits with haptic feedback and electronic pulsing within them. I can really see that the controllers and the additional equipment that we're going to have to be able to interact with our virtual worlds are just going to continue to grow. And I really don't think that we should be looking to the manufacturers of HMDs to be doing this. They're providing us with our viewport into the virtual world, and I think that that's where that they should specialize. They should give us the controllers to enable us to be able to do that. But then I really do think that what it needs is the imagination and the innovation of other manufacturers and of other developers to be able to advance that and take that forward in directions in which they can really primarily focus on and ensure that what we end up with is a much, much better product rather than something that just becomes a set of. And I think what we'll end up with then is as well as products that actually work across a greater range of devices. And we've certainly seen this in sort of other realms. Thinking of it purely and simply from just the PC market, the advent of the USB port suddenly revolutionized the devices that became available. Suddenly the range of joysticks, the range of different controllers that we had, mice, keyboards, it created an absolute explosion. And I can see that there's a possibility here that manufacturers of the actual main sort of virtual reality devices that we look at and controllers are potentially going to move in that way. It's interesting to see that there are no big players within this realm at the moment. I'm not seeing anything from Logitech, which I'm really quite surprised about. Are they sat back and waiting for the technology to become cheaper, more widely adopted? Very probably. Do they have things planned? I really don't know. I absolutely sort of adore some of the devices that I have around me for sort of like more traditional PC usage and PC gaming. But I'm just sort of at a stage at where I think that there is an opportunity for some smaller companies to really be able to make a big rise here and make a big impact. Glove One, for me at the moment, seems to be quite at the forefront of things, and the fact that this is Vive compatible obviously makes things a little bit more interesting for me. But I do want to be able to feel a butterfly land on my finger whilst I'm in virtual reality. I want to have that feedback which will enable my immersion to be so much greater. Now, as far as motion is concerned, this is probably one of the things as far as the here and now that we have that is the biggest limitation. Room space with HTC Vive is fantastic, but you've got to have room to be able to create that space. I'm relatively fortunate in the fact that my setup enables me to be able to do that. I don't have a huge room space. I'm around about 2.5 meters by 3 meters. So it's not massive, but it is more than enough for me to be able to really get immersed and to grasp the virtual worlds that are currently available. Do I want more? Absolutely. The treadmills, the exercise bikes. I've even seen somebody that's built a light cycle. The possibilities on where we can go with this are going to be great. The whole sort of treadmill things, we've got a few sort of really beginning to get to the point on where I think that they're very valuable devices. I've not been fortunate enough to try any of them out yet. I must admit, visually, the Omni does seem to be one that sort of would suit a large proportion of sort of my gaming style, but it doesn't do everything that I want it to do. So, do we need to find out other methods? Can we have some form of, I don't know, floor covering that I can throw down within my room space that gives me that that element of being able to sort of move on the spot but still have that sensation of sort of being able to walk and so on, and thereby giving me greater freedom of movement as a person, so I can act more naturally within a virtual world. I do think that the whole sort of central circle and waist belts and things that I'm seeing so far are highly effective, but I just don't feel that it contributes to the immersion at the current time. I'm going to be holding off, certainly as far as anything beyond room space is concerned. I'm sticking with the teleportation side of things at the moment. Absolutely love the chaperone within the HTC Vive. For those of you who haven't experienced that, you get close to the edge of your physical limitations and you get a nice gentle grid that starts to sort of fade into your view, just so you know and you're aware that you are coming to the edge of that. Something that I haven't actually put up here, which I have sort of just thought of, is with regards to cabling. All of the sort of headsets, as far as Vive and Oculus and so on, you've got a great big long cable that runs down your back and across the floor and jacks itself into some form of link box through to your PC. Do I notice it? There are times when I do. There are certain games that I play where I really must admit that I would like a lot more freedom of movement. But does it hamper me and hinder me and stop my immersion? Generally not. The times I experience difficulty are, for example, when I'm drawing within Tilt Brush. Tilt Brush, you really want total freedom. I find myself sort of lying on the floor, drawing things, and standing up and reaching up above my head, and wanting to turn from one angle to the other. And there are times where the cable can hinder in that, but it is something that you do sort of very quite quickly learn to get used to. And I've been actually quite surprised at how well I know where my cable is, even though I can't see it. So it isn't really as big a hindrance as I think people see. I think one of the other things that's sort of worth mentioning as well when we start thinking about sort of head-mounted devices is the screen aspect of things. And I've been browsing around a fair bit recently, sort of like trying to pick up on sort of what some people's views on this are, and it is really difficult to know whether people are actually genuine VR users or whether they are just going by the experiences of other people and breeding elements of positivity or negativity from that. But one of the things that I realised quite quickly is this point about pixelation within the screens. Now, I'll be quite honest, the screens are not ultra high definition screens. And as such, if you look at the screen, then yes, you're going to see some pixelation. But that's true with sort of any display device that we currently sort of have available to us. But what you really should be doing as far as virtual reality is concerned, when you're wearing a head-mounted device, is not looking at the screen. You should be looking at the virtual world that you're within. And I find that when I do that, not only is my immersion greater and I have a better VR experience, but also things such as being critical and saying yes, there's some pixelation, they disappear. Those aspects of things that aren't quite as technologically advanced at the moment as maybe some people would really like, those things dissipate. And when you hit that point of immersion, that's when VR can become one of the most enjoyable experiences I think that you can have, certainly from a gaming aspect of things. One of the other things with regards to here and now, and this is on the gaming side, there is quite a big shortage of cooperative and multiplayer. It's something that I think really revolutionized gaming. I remember many years back playing in the Quake Champions League, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of how long I've been gaming. I can remember playing Counter-Strike through varying degrees and levels. And I've watched gaming sort of advance in that way, and the internet and the multiplayer experience, right the way through to the MMOs that we've got, such as EVE, for example, World of Warcraft. They've really changed gaming quite considerably, and brought that sense of community and unity within. I don't yet see sort of VR clans that are sort of challenging each other across sort of multiple sort of game sets. I don't see that at the moment. There seems to be sort of world championship events that are happening for VR. But I really do think that these are the things that are going to happen in the future. There definitely needs to be a lot more of the multiplayer, cooperative playing aspect of things. This is something that we at mVR Project are really, really looking forward to. Rustler and myself, Sang, are constantly on the lookout for the next sort of cooperative and multiplayer game, because we've gamed together for such a long period of time, and we want to extend that within to the VR world. I was browsing around a little bit earlier on, and I was looking for something from the industry that was sort of quoting about how they felt where we are at the moment. And I found this, and I read this, and I thought, hey, that really does make a lot of sense, and I can really sort of see the importance of developers and manufacturers needing to sort of embrace the technology, and to try and make virtual reality as compelling as real reality, if not more so. But then I really started to think about sort of how technology is advanced within what I use within my daily life, and I sort of came up with this quote instead. Virtual reality can only become a part of our natural technological integration into our everyday lives, not only if embraced by manufacturers and developers, but more importantly by us, the consumers, driving virtual reality by our ever-expanding needs and passions. That's what's driven things such as gaming and PC technology, and in fact, every piece of technology that you utilize within your life, it isn't been fully driven by developers and manufacturers. They are such a small part of the whole design process. And as consumers, I genuinely believe that we have a duty with new technology such as virtual reality to let the manufacturers and the developers know the things that they're doing right, because those are the things that then they can enhance and ensure that they carry forwards. But also we need to let them know the things that niggle us. Now, I'm not going to say the things that they do wrong, because being sat here waiting for 30 years for virtual reality to sort of, land on my doorstep and enable me to experience it directly, I think they've done an amazing job. And that's regardless of organisation, manufacturer that's either produced software or produced hardware. As I said, HTC Vive is definitely my preference. I think that for me, it's ticked so many boxes. It was incredibly easy for me to set up. I was up and running in 20 minutes, and I was absolutely blown away the first time I put that headset on. It still continues to grasp me and to make the hairs on the back of my neck sort of stand up every now and again. But if I don't feed back to people such as HTC and to Steam and to the developers within it, then how can I expect it ever to sort of go in a direction where I'm going to get more from it? I just don't think that's ever going to happen. So I feel that as consumers, we really do have a duty to sort of drive this technology forwards. And I can assure you that in the dealings that I've sort of undertaken recently, manufacturers really do want to listen to us. They want to know what they can do to improve the experience for us. They are as excited about this as we are. I think that the modern day marketing machines that and the media are sort of influencing their expression of this passion. But certainly I've experienced, especially recently, from HTC, that this is an organisation that really does want to listen to what we have to say. I'm sure there are similar things and similar experiences that people have had with other manufacturers. I'd love to hear about them. But for me, as a Vive user, I can only give you the experiences that I've had, and HTC have been an organisation for me that have listened really, really quite intently to some of the discussions that I've had with them recently, and I actually do genuinely feel that there is going to be something that's sort of going to move forwards and going to change. And we've got a future video that Russell and myself are going to be doing, and we're going to be doing a little. What would we do with the Vive 2? And we're going to see if there's anything in there that, maybe you've been thinking about as well. I mean, we'd love to get your feedback on that. But for now, I'm going to draw this presentation to a bit of an end. Thank you very much if you've managed to sort of get this far in listening to me. I can only say that I'm going to review this in sort of 12 months' time, and I'll probably end up doing another video, and I think I'll be finding that I'll be having a slightly different viewpoint in certain areas of some of the things that I've spoken about here. My many thanks to all the developers out there that are continuing to develop software and to give us content. It is remarkable to see the explosion that's happened. It's really, really pleasing as an early adopter to feel that I'm not limited to sort of half a dozen pieces of software, as I know I have been in the past with other technology that I've adopted. And certainly from the manufacturer's perspective, it really does seem as if what we're going to experience with virtual reality is going to be quite similar to the sort of design cycles that we're seeing within other technological markets. I've just got a funny feeling that as far as VR is concerned, we're going to be seeing some pretty big advances pretty quickly. So keep your eyes peeled for the next couple of years. If you've not experienced virtual reality, if you're in the UK and you come over to Nottingham, we have an amazing place here. It's the National Video Game Arcade. They are an absolutely amazing bunch of people there. They've got a Vive set up there. You can book yourself in and go in and try. But it isn't just about virtual reality there. It's about gaming through the ages. And I had some great fun the other day playing on an original Space Invaders machine whilst I was there. The staff are absolutely fantastic. Every single one of them is a gamer and really, really passionate about gaming. And I can assure you that that will be a great experience for you, not only on the virtual reality front, but also on everything else that they got to offer. If you're outside of the UK, there are places around. I'm beginning to see sort of shops, popping up within the UK where you can experience this. And, more recently, we're beginning to see actual virtual reality arcades beginning to pop up. But get out there and experience VR. If you've been sat back and you've been watching videos on YouTube of people playing games, I can tell you're experiencing about 10% of what it is. We've got some firsts up on mVR project. We've got a few more of those coming along. We've got a couple yet to process. mVR project isn't just about Seng and Rustler reviewing games and playing games and having a bit of a laugh with each other. We're trying to really use the whole project side of things as being anything that's virtual reality based. And the first videos are always entertaining for us. People really do get blown away by the experience. If you haven't done it, get out there and try it. Thank you very much to everybody who's been supportive through this whole process to get in where we are. Thank you to the film industry for starting off and giving me Tron. Thank you to my partner in crime at mVR project, Rustler, who did all of the research and all of the hard work to work out what was going to be the best HMD for us. Vive was certainly the right choice for the way that we game together and have gamed together over the past. And please do come to our Facebook page, like us, and let us know what you think about the videos that we post, and we're going to try and keep you as up to date as we can with all of the changes that are coming in the near future. This is Seng from mVR Project. Thanks a lot for listening, everyone.